I'm Charlize. I'm a freshman here at UC Berkeley. Okay, so hi. I'm no longer a freshman at Berkeley and it's been like 2 years, but it's because I've been procrastinating on editing this video. But I thought that this video would be helpful to incoming freshmen who are wondering what it's like to live at Unit 3. So current me is here to give context about my freshman year dorm. I'll also be going over some pros and cons about living in Unit 3 later. So I just realized all my footage got corrupted. So sorry for this lighting change, but I'm gonna be here to basically give you a recap of whatever I just said in the past 30 minutes. When I was a freshman, I lived in a Unit 3 triple in Ida Sproul, which is a residence hall close to campus on South Side. It was a corner room on an all-girls floor, and I'll talk about my experience with that later on. In this video, I'm the last one to move out, so that's why all my belongings are just sprawled everywhere, so kind of just ignore that. But I also vlogged a little bit of my last day, so if you want to skip that part, I'll have timestamps as well. I'm just going to give you a tour of what the Unit 3 triple looks like. You don't get very much space at all. I think this will give you a good idea of how much space you actually have. Let me just go ahead and show you guys what the room looks like. Welcome to my freshman year dorm. So basically this is just the general layout of the Unit 3 triple. Something to keep in mind is that the triples in Unit 3 have the exact same space as the doubles. So you're getting less space in a triple because you're sharing essentially with one more person. Here are the bed formations. On one side is a bunk bed and the other side, which was my side, has a lofted bed space with 2 desks underneath, where the bottom bunk would typically be. The mattresses that they provide on these twin beds are not that comfortable, so I definitely recommend getting a mattress topper. You also have these cabinets for extra storage space, and then each room gets their own closet, as you can see over here. And the closet comes with its own mirror as well. But it's kind of small, so you can't put too much. But you also get a cabinet. You also get these extra drawers here for extra storage space. Trash bin as well. You have your microwave here, working, as well as freezer and fridge. I think arguably the best thing about our dorm is the view that we have over here. It's just really pretty, and since we're on the 6th floor, we get a nice look of the bay, and especially during sunset, it's really pretty here. We live in one of the corner rooms, and although we're supposed to get more space, I don't think we get as much space as the other corner rooms as well. But my favorite thing, especially in first semester, was just looking outside the window, taking it all in, and also you'll be able to talk to your window neighbors if they also look out the window. Golden hour is always so pretty in this dorm, especially in sunset, so like in about half an hour or so. The sunsets here are always so pretty, and I'm definitely gonna miss that. So the sun is starting to set now. I always love watching sunsets here. It's gonna be my last sunset in this building. I'm basically having one of the last meals that I'm gonna have before I leave. I'm not going to eat at the dining hall, thank God. I'm just gonna have a meal from one of my favorite restaurants here, Noodle Dynasty. So I'm just gonna eat my food and enjoy the sunset for myself before I go. So let's start off with some pros. One of the pros of Unit 3 is that it's very close to campus, and it is one of the best dorm locations besides Blackwell. You're very close to campus, and that also means that you're closer to the gym, which is called the RSF. I especially miss living off campus now, and I really miss the commute that I had from my dorm and just being able to go back late at night after studying. And if you really want, you can squeeze in an hour lunch break between your classes, and that's pretty rare unless you're living really close to campus. I'd say it's a really optimal location, and it has a lot of bus lines directly in front of Unit 3. There are also a lot of restaurants on Telegraph if you're into that. There's also a parking garage nearby that's pretty big. It's called telegraph chanting, and that's just something to keep in mind if you're gonna have a car or gonna have people over who need to park near you. However, with that parking garage, you will have to pay. It's cheaper than most other dorms, I believe, especially if you're living in Unit 3 triple. That is one of your cheapest options. I'd say Unit 3 and typically most of the units are considered more social just because of the nature of the layout. Everyone is in really close proximity with each other. Floor mates are literally just right across the hall if you ever need to talk to them. I'd say this is true for most of the units anyways. This is my own opinion, but I feel like I'd suggest doing a co-ed floor if you want a more social floor. For some reason, my all-girls floor was just not very social. I think it was just the fact that we didn't have a common space or that we all had pretty different interests. Most people just stayed in their dorms, in their own rooms, and if anything, they were just close friends with their roommates. However, I'm sure this is not the case for all same gender floors, and I think you'll be fine if you pick that as well. But don't worry if you don't really vibe with the people on your floor, you're going to find friends in other situations too. In my perspective, most people just made friends with the people that are on their floor because of proximity. I mean, it's really convenient to be friends with people that you see basically every day. In college, you'll be able to make a variety of friends in different ways. Another pro is that you have a dining hall very close to you at your disposal. It is basically smack dab in the center of all of the buildings in Unit 3. It's called Cafe 3. Is the food the best? It's alright, it'll nourish you, it'll make you satisfied. But again, it's just dining hall food, so you can't have too high expectations. In general, you have access to Wi-Fi and Ethernet. Most of the time, the connection is pretty stable, but sometimes there'll be outages, but you'll live. There's also student security at night. You'll have to scan your ID past like the first scan to actually get into the building. It can get a little annoying when you're trying to bring like a bunch of friends over and they have to scan their ID every time, but I get it, it's for security and you can feel safe that you won't have any unauthorized people getting into your building. Another pro I'd say is that we have a custodial team that helps clean the bathrooms and the floors and whatnot every day, so you won't have to be worried about cleaning the communal parts of your dorm. Yeah, typically the bathrooms close at a certain time, usually like the same time every day, so you have to kind of know the schedule and just make sure to not have to get ready in that time if you have to like leave for class, for example. Now let's go over some cons. I'd say, I don't know if Unit 3 is the oldest dorm, but is one of the dingiest dorms, and it may be considered the worst dorms out of all of them for student housing, but Unit 3 is still livable and a good amount of undergrad students live here, and you'll definitely find a lot of people that you end up seeing on campus or seeing at clubs that actually live in Unit 3, so it ends up just being convenient because everyone's either just a building away or just in the same area. Another con is that the elevator tends to break down. Sometimes a lot. It really depends on the building. Thankfully, the one in Ida Sproul didn't break out too often. I think it might have broken down like 3 times total the whole time I was there. But sometimes it can take a while to repair too. I know other buildings where the elevator would break down once a month or sometimes for a period like every other week, and elevators are just a hassle to repair in general just because there are a few like elevator repairmen and you have to wait to get the parts, and like buying the parts is expensive, takes time to ship, whatever, blah blah blah. But yeah, that was the case for one of the times the elevators broke down at Ida Sproul. When they broke down that time, I tried to wait it off and I was sure that they would be fixed by the time I needed to do my laundry, but it had been like more than a week and my laundry was just starting to pile up. I couldn't wait it out and I had to drag my laundry up 6 flights of stairs, up and down and up and down. That can be a little bit annoying, but most of the time the elevators work fine. They work fine, but they're also pretty slow, so you might end up just wanting to take the stairs instead, especially if you're waiting to go down. In my experience, that usually is faster having lived on the 6th floor. Fire alarms also kind of go off often in Unit 3.
I'm just gonna stay here. Yeah.
Sometimes they're false alarms, sometimes they're real fires, but regardless, the whole building evacuates and you usually can't go back inside until the fire department, police, fire department arrives. I'd say fires aren't like that common, but they do happen just because there's a bunch of people living in one compacted area. When it happened in my dorm, the fire actually started the room directly above us. Our room also got water damage from being hosed down by the firefighters. The reason why it started was because an electric skateboard, its battery had blown up. It was being like overcharged. So sometimes that happens. And like the whole floor blew up in smoke, and then everyone had to evacuate because everyone was smelling something burning. But for the most part, fires usually don't happen. The walls and doors tend to be very thin, which is not the best, especially when you're trying to sleep at night and people are making a bunch of noise at night. We technically do have quiet hours, but some people like don't obey them and some RAs don't enforce them. So it really just depends on your living situation. And just living on Southside and living directly on Telegraph, there is usually just going to be a lot of sound in general. It's one of the busy streets, so you're going to hear like sirens often. You're going to hear construction most of the time because there's always construction next to campus and next to Telegraph, especially with like the road construction going on right now. The windows specifically, I feel like block out a good amount of noise. Use them when it gets too loud at night, but I'd say for the most part, if there's going to be a siren blaring right across the street, you're going to hear it. So you'll get used to it, you'll sleep to it, it'll be fine. Another con I'd say is that the water pressure is not the best, at least on our floor, but it depends on different floors as well, and the different shower heads there are. You'll get used to it. You'll know which one is going to be considered the good shower or the one with the good water pressure. You'll notice it because those showers tend to be full or occupied most often anyways. You'll get to know which shower has like a good water temperature as well. Overall, the bathrooms are like decent. They're not like anything amazing or spectacular. They just really give off public school bathroom vibes or gym, locker, shower vibes. There's also no kitchen on the floors. There's only one kitchen and it's communal and it's on the ground floor. I don't recommend cooking anyways unless you have a portable setup if you're late at night and you want to eat some instant ramen, but other than that, it's not really efficient to go down there to cook all the time. It's really small and cramped, and you have a meal plan that you're basically forced to get, so it really doesn't matter. Another thing is that there is only one filtered water dispenser and it is located on the ground floor. You have access to water in the sinks in the bathroom, in the communal bathrooms. I'd recommend getting a Brita and filling that with just sink water if you don't want to run down all the time to just get filtered water. We also do not have any ACs or fans at Unit 3, but you can bring your own if you really need it. Honestly, with Berkeley weather, most of the time you don't really need one. This is arguably one of the worst things, is that there is no in-unit washer dryer system at all in any of the buildings at Unit 3, unless you count Beverly clearly, because they have their own laundry rooms on each floor. But for the rest of Unit 3, none of us have that, and none of us have it within the building as well. But I mean, we still have a way to do our laundry. We just all share one big laundry room at the center of the area, which is like under Cafe 3. So yeah, all 4 buildings at Unit 3 share one laundry room. You know what's even worse about it? The laundry isn't even free. You have to pay $4 for every load, $4 including washing and drying to do your laundry. And you know what else is also worse? You can't use coins to do your laundry. I was so excited when I got to college that I could just use all my spare coins to do laundry, but turns out that's not the case anymore, because of course everything goes to mobile pay now or credit card, and it doesn't accept any coins, so that sucks. But yeah, it's so expensive to do laundry at Unit 3. Blackwell, I'm sure you can do it like 25 cents cheaper, which is nice, but in general, doing laundry at the student dorms typically gets pretty expensive. So yeah, because all 4 buildings share one laundry room, it can get really busy, especially during more popular times like the weekend. But you can also go at an unpopular, obscure time frame like 3 a.m. if you really want to and snag a spot. Usually all of the drums will be open, but sometimes people will take out your laundry if they're impatient or if you just haven't been there to collect your laundry, and they'll just take it out and put it on top and then put their own laundry. So if you don't want people to have hands in your laundry, set a timer and make sure you come back and take your laundry before that happens. But yeah, I'd recommend just going at an unpopular time, like when people are in classes, probably not on the weekend if you want to be able to do your laundry in peace, because it can get really busy, really stinky, really gross in there sometimes. I'd also say the laundry machines break down quite often, but usually it's just like 1 or 2, so it doesn't impact too much of the laundry room. All in all, I'd say Unit 3 builds character. You don't live in the best residence hall at Berkeley. You kind of live in the worst one, but it's okay because everyone kind of accepts it. You will survive. You will thrive. You will just live. and it'll be fine. Low-key, in freshman year, you just become so busy and wrapped up with everything that happens that kind of living in the dorms is the last thing on your mind. So don't worry about it. If you get Unit 3, just stick it out. It'll be fine. Everyone survived it. Everyone doesn't have horrible things to say about it usually. I don't know what to say. Unit 3 is not the worst. There's probably worse situations that you can be living in at Berkeley. I'd say if you don't like your housing assignment and the Unit 3 triple experience or just Unit 3 experience in general turns you off, if you can, fill out this housing transfer request form that some administrator sends in the summer. I believe Berkeley Housing sent out this Google form in my year pretty early on in the summer, and I didn't know it was anything significant. If you have special accommodations or requests, if you fill this form out as soon as possible, they usually can meet them. And even if you don't have any special accommodations, you can fill this out too if you're just like a normal person and you just want a different housing accommodation or a different residence hall. Two of my friends who were roommates actually were going to be assigned to a Unit 2 triple, and they didn't want to do that. They filled out the form as soon as possible and they requested for Blackwell, and they actually got it. So they were able to live in Blackwell for their freshman year, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, if you don't want to live at Unit 3, you have an option, but it might be too late now. So yeah, those are just some pros and cons for living at Unit 3 and just my experience in general. If you have any other ideas for videos that you think I should do, just let me know in the comments. I hope this video was helpful to you, especially if you're an incoming freshman. You'll survive at Unit 3, don't worry too much about it. And yeah,